Willie B, Ali. So,
What's up, y'all?
So this is new construction bathrooms, and I'm just gonna show like a regular, like your standard bathroom where it has like the fiberglass tub, because honestly those ones are the biggest bitch to do out of all of them. I'm not showing a tile shower here because generally when you have a tile shower, the person that's installing tile, there's a lot of washing that has to go on after they install the grout. A lot of times when you go into a bathroom, like a master bath or something where they've got like an all tile shower, you're only gonna have to take your step stool, microfiber, your yellow microfiber, and you're gonna get that wet. Usually I just get it wet in the sink. I fill up the sink like halfways with a little bit of soapy water, Dawn dish soap water. You're gonna go in there, get that wet, wring it out, kind of like you're doing woodwork, right? You're just gonna take your step stool and start from the top. Sometimes there's tile on the ceiling, sometimes it just goes up to the ceiling, and you're just gonna give it a thorough wipe down. Normally don't have to scrub tile showers at all. The only place I notice ever having to scrub them is the shower pan on the floor. So there might be like a sticker still left to remove from the little drain. There might be a little bit of grout residue left over on the bottom, and you could take your grout brush to it, but typically I don't run into that. I typically just have to wash everything down thoroughly, give it a nice little wipe down, and there's no like scrubbing, rinsing with the cup. None of that stuff is involved in the tile shower for new cons. And then what I do lastly is I will polish and shine the fixtures, like the shower head and all of that, and then you would be done with the tile shower. So, and then another thing that I didn't show is a freestanding tub, because sometimes they have freestanding tubs. Sometimes they have the tubs that are like built in, you know, with the tile around them. And then there's like a wood cabinet facing. You're just gonna clean that like you would any other residential tub. You're gonna get it wet with your cup, the walls, and then you're going to scrub everything down with a blue scrubby, including the tile that's around the border. And then you're gonna wipe the tile down, you know, with your wet microfiber, rinse the tub, dry it, buff the fixtures, and then
You get to go.
so I don't really think I need to show that. You can be like shown in person for that. Anyways, we're gonna get into it right.
Meow.
So numero uno, you want to vacuum the floor. So at this point, this bathroom has already been prepped. And what I mean by prepped is that it's been rough swept. The woodwork has been vacuumed already. It is just ready to start scrubbing. First, we're just gonna take the Floor Hero and vacuum as thoroughly as you can in this stage, just because there's a lot of sheetrock dust and all that other kind of stuff. And it's just gonna make the washing a lot easier if you're more thorough. You want to go right up to them baseboards, because a lot of times the sheetrock dust and stuff is hiding like underneath the baseboards, so it'll pull it out. You know, when you're vacuuming, you'll actually see like little lines of it come out. So just like a regular residential bathroom, you're going to go to the tub first after the floor has been dealt with, and I'm going to do the same thing as well by getting all of the walls wet. There's a lot of sheetrock dust, a lot of drywall, a lot of dirt. There's a lot of things that once you get them wet and they have a chance to soak, they'll scrub off much, much easier. So this definitely is a huge benefit to just rinsing all the walls right away. And then I rinse the bottom of the tub too. By rinse, I mean that I just get it wet. Oh my God, Lindsay. Okay, so this is something else that I often do too. So when I'm rinsing the...
Rinsing. Oh my God.
When I'm getting the walls wet, I will plug the tub up. While I'm getting the walls wet, all that water that's draining down is going to fill like an inch or two at the bottom. And the bottom of the tub is typically like the nastiest part of the entire thing. So it's really beneficial that that water just sits there and soaks the whole time that you're scrubbing the walls. So by the time that you get to the bottom and you're scrubbing it, shit's just coming off like
Butter.
You know what I'm saying? So here, folks, is your biggest challenge of new construction bathrooms that have fiberglass tubs. All of this, what you're seeing here, this is all drywall buildup, okay, from the tapers and mutter people. So they get all this around, and then there's paint on top of it. And it can be a huge biatch to get off. Sorry, Jimmy wanted to talk too. Anyways, I'm just showing you the length of it. So the entire top ledge of the tub is going to have that stuff on it. So here is what we're going to do to clean it off. There's one method that works the best. Otherwise, I'm telling you, this shit could take you an extra 20 to 30 minutes to remove off of this top ledge if you don't listen to me and heed my advice. Which, to be honest with you, can turn into an extra hour to an hour and a half per new construction house if there's 2-3 bathrooms and all the tubs are like this. It also goes down the whole sides to the bottom of the tub. So what we're gonna do here first is get the top ledge wet. So whether you wanna do this with a wet yellow and just kind of sponge it on there all along the top, or if you wanna just get your blue scrubby wet and do the same thing. What you don't want is super large amount of water up there because it could damage the sheetrock and the paint itself. You know, you wanna kind of like sponge the moisture on there, but you don't want it to be super dripping, sopping wet where water's sitting up there. So again, you can do this part with a blue scrubby that has water on it or a yellow microfiber that's wet and just, you know, pat it into all of that paint and drywall. Anyways, here I go. So once you have it wet, you know, and it's starting to soak in there, you're going to take your yellow and do what I'm doing. I rub it back and forth and then your plastic scraper. And a lot of times, you see what I'm doing here, I put it in both hands just so I could get a better leverage, because when you have a certain amount of pressure on it and it's at a certain angle, it will pull all of this stuff up really, really easily. And then you'll see I'm just peeling it up just like that. This is the best way to avoid damaging any paint. And then you're just going to wipe that stuff away. Generally, I would just shake it into the bottom of the tub and then scoop it all up with a yellow and, you know, throw it away into a white trash bag and then continue with my cleaning. But this is definitely the best way, the most efficient way to make sure that you're removing all of that stuff up there, because they do expect us to remove all of that. After it's removed, they go around the whole side edge there and they caulk all of it. So they can't do that until all this debris is released. So you're just going to be doing this all the way around. And if it's not coming up, just put some more moisture on there with your yellow, you know, work it back and forth and get everything really wet, because the more that moisture soaks in there, the easier that it's going to come up when you're scraping it. And then again, just flick all of that debris and stuff into the bottom of the tub, because when I'm done going all around that top ledge, I'll just scoop all of it up at one time and then chuck it. Some tubs are going to have very little debris up here for you to have to deal with, and some are going to have a lot. I wanted to show you a house that has a lot just because you need to know how to deal with it so that it's not taking you forever, because it took me a while to figure out the best way to actually do this. And this house in particular is a Drake construction house. Drake construction houses are known for having a lot of buildup around the tubs. I have tried to mention it to the builder multiple times to have their subs be cleaner, but it doesn't always work out that way. So sometimes you're going to get lucky and there's not going to be anything for you to really deal with. You're just going to have to go around that top ledge and the sides with a damp or wet yellow and work it back and forth and things will come right up. And then other times you're going to have to, you know, go the whole nine. It just really depends. And even on this shower, I'm using both of these methods because in this skinny ledge all the way across, I really don't need to use the scraper. I can get by with just using the yellow. Basically what I'm doing is just taking my fingernail underneath this yellow, and my fingernail is really what's driving all this stuff up. So you can do that. If you want to use the scraper for something like this, you could still do that as well. I mean, whatever is gonna make you most efficient. Here is the cleaned product. I went all the way around. I didn't show you all the way around because I already went there, but you'll see in the very corner what I just showed you. It did remove a little bit of the paint. Honestly, there's only so much we can do to protect the paint up there. Painter comes back to do a touch-up anyways. Whatever stuff we happen to pull up, he's gonna be fixing. But this is the way that you can get by with the least amount of damage, and that is what we're going for. And then once you get that top ledge dealt with, that's when I usually start going around and doing all of the walls. Keep in mind that when you are scrubbing the walls of a new construction tub like this, the sheetrock dust and dirt and all that stuff that you're removing, it tends to make the soapy water pasty, if that makes sense. So typically, if you can't scrub all 3 of them walls within a couple of minutes, usually that's not the case because they're super dirty, I would do a wall at a time and then rinse it, because if you wait until the end to rinse it, it's just going to leave this like soap scummy pasty ass residue all over the walls of the tub, and it's not going to come off, and you're going to have to like buff it off and wipe the whole damn shower down with like a yellow or a white. So to avoid that, maybe just scrub like half of the wall, half of the shower walls first, and then rinse and do your second half, or do one wall at a time if it's really bad. You'll know when to start rinsing because you will kind of see that paste starting to form, and you'll see like the soap and water mixture starting to dry. If you see that happen, start rinsing right away. I just went ahead and did all of the walls all at once because I got through them within like 5 minutes. So if you can do that, then bang them all out, girl. But if not, and it's really messy, then just stick to rinsing after every wall or halfway through the walls. All right, and then before moving on to scrubbing anything else, I would get your rinsing done, right? So we don't have any pasty messes. I'm probably going to be rinsing this like more than I would a regular residential clean, because a regular residential clean, you're just rinsing off soap scum here. You're rinsing off all that pasty stuff. So you're going to want to make a couple of more passes than normal. And once you rinse, you can take a look at the shower walls and you can tell if it still needs to be rinsed extra or if it's rinsing really clean. So what I do is I just fill my cup up and then shut the faucet off. I don't leave the water running because I don't want to get my feet like totally soaking wet. So that's a way I can kind of avoid getting my shoes soaked. But just rinse all the walls and then move on to the next step. Right, and then the next step is I just kind of take a look at all the shower walls. If I need to do a little bit of extra rinsing, I want to do that too, because I don't want to have to come back to it. Once you're done with a section of the shower, I want you to be done with it, you know what I'm saying? But, and then after that, you'll see me go around the edge, like that top ledge. You can only pour that cup water up so far, right, before it would go all the way on the top and damage the walls and things. So in that little like few inches section towards the top, 5 or 6 inches up, where you couldn't rinse and you still had to scrub, you're going to take your yellow and rinse it out so it's nice and clean. And then you're also going to wipe that whole part off. Now, I'm just being extra thorough here just to make sure I don't have any like pasty, dry, streaky issues when all that stuff dries. But I'm going to wipe all this off and make sure that it's 100% good to go. And then it's on to the next step of scrubbing the bottom of the tub. So I do the bottom, the ledges, the faucets and stuff, and you'll see me do the outside as well here. And don't forget the toothbrush around the drain. There's a lot of buildup. It gets really gross with like the drywall and stuff around that little drain part. So you're probably going to notice certain like smudges and streaks and whatnot that are not going to be coming off with the blue scrubby. Don't kill yourself with that thing. Just scrub as good as you can. And if there's still marks left over, you can go through with a magic eraser, and that will generally take off 95% of what's stuck on the tub. If you can't get that stuff off with a magic eraser, the only other thing you could do with a fiberglass tub, not a tile, not anything else, only fiberglass like you see here, is you could take a white cloth, terry cloth, and you could put a little bit of paint thinner on it. We have those in our blue boxes, containers of paint thinner, and you could work the paint thinner back and forth and see if that would take off whatever is stuck on there. If those 3 methods don't work, then you're gonna let her buck, girl, because there's nothing you can do about it. And to do the rinsing part for the outside of the tub, I'm just gonna rinse out my yellow, wring it out, and then give it a good wipe down, and that's good enough for that. That should air dry without water spots or anything.
All right, and here I'm just showing you all the debris that's left over even after I did a rinse on the whole tub and all of that kind of stuff. There's still going to be some crap left over, dirt and all of that and whatnot. So I'm going to show you the best way to get rid of that instead of fighting it a bunch for minutes at a time. I'm going to take a couple cupfuls of water and rinse down as much as I can. And if there's stuff that's not rinsing down or going away, all you need to do is wring out your yellow and literally wipe the whole bottom of the tub with your yellow and scoop it out and rinse it out in the sink. And it'll come out super easily and super fast versus you sitting there for 5+ minutes, waiting for the water to drain, filling your cup again, then pouring it down, and then seeing these little granules still left and whatnot. It just, do it a couple times with the cup, and whatever doesn't go down the drain, you're going to just scoop it out with the yellow because it's going to be 10 times faster than sitting there with a cup for 5 minutes.
All right, and then once I have that done, it's really just cleaning up the outsides of the tub. So this ledge here that you see me cleaning up, I'm just gonna work the yellow back and forth until that white drywall substance and like the paint that's left over comes up. Just going back and forth like this, that's all you have to do. And you wanna make sure you go all the way down to the baseboard there in that little corner because there's a lot of paint that gets stuck there and a lot of drywall buildup that gets on there. And down here, you'll see me show you the yellow rag in a little bit. And why I'm showing you this is because when you work it back and forth, it'll get this white spot on it like that, and then it won't be pulling stuff off as good. So you move it to a clean part of the rag, just like I showed you, and then keep wiping. You might have to do that like 4 or 5 passes, and then you work it to a different part of the rag, and you might have to keep doing that, you know, over the span of the entire rag to make sure you have a clean surface, because it's really going to help make you efficient in pulling all of that stuff off. And you'll see here, like I'm really getting in there, and I'm really getting in the corners to make sure I get all of it.
So the last part of what I didn't show you, and I don't know why I didn't get the clips of that, but the very outside of the tub, you can use a blue scrubby on it, just not the sides. So on that front facing, you can use a blue scrubby on that. A lot of times you'll end up having to use a little bit more Dawn dish soap with the blue scrubby, really scrub it good because there's a lot of like paint buildup and whatnot there. And you'll also end up usually having to use a magic eraser on the outside if none of like the scuff marks or certain things are coming off, because there are a lot of times where they have marks that just won't come off with the regular method that we're using to scrub. So feel free to use that if you need. And then what I do at the end is I take a white and I dry, just like we do a shower in a residential. You're going to dry that outside, you're going to dry the sides, you're going to dry that little section on the sides where, you know, you can only get a cup over so far to dump the water without getting it outside of the tub. So there's like this much of a section on the wall on the sides of the tub that you need to dry with a white, and the same with the top ledge. There's only so far you can go up with that cup of water and dump without it getting on top of the ledge and damaging like the sheetrock, if you know what I'm saying. So I would dry all the outsides like that, dry your shower head, and then you are good to go to the next step.
All right, next step after the tub and shower is done, if there's both, do those first. Then you would move on to washing woodwork. So I'm just using a tiny bit of Dawn dish soap, some hot water. You're just gonna get a sink full, and then you're gonna wring out your yellow super good. And I'm gonna start in one part of the bathroom and work my way around, not jumping around at all, just going in a complete circle. So I'm going to start over here. You could start on the other side, but this allows me to make sure that I'm getting everything thoroughly and I'm not just doing the vanity, then jumping to the baseboards, then jumping to this. Side note, what do you do if the sink you are using in the bathroom does not hold water? Because a lot of them I've noticed when I do new construction cleaning, I'll test it really first without wasting my soap, put a little bit of water in the sink, pull the plug, see if it holds water. If it doesn't hold water, don't waste your soap. If it doesn't hold water, what I do is just get the yellow wet, put a little bit of dish soap on my yellow, work it together, wring it out really good, and wash the woodwork, and then just rinse the yellow as I need it, and just do it that way. It's not as ideal, but it still works. And honestly, it's a lot better than going to find somebody in another part of the house that has a bucket full of water and making all those trips back and forth. That wastes a lot of time.
All right, so starting at one end of the bathroom and working my way around like a circle, I'm going to start right where the baseboard starts, and I also take time to wipe off this part of the toilet too while I'm down there so I don't forget. And then you're just going to be extremely thorough, concentrate on all the woodwork. And with these cabinet facings, like the vanity part, I usually just do the whole outside of everything first. If you're doing a kitchen, then I would like break it into sections, but I would do the outsides of
a few drawers and cupboards first and then do the insides and just keep proceeding like that just so I can make sure that I don't miss anything. When you're doing those handles, like the silver or black or whatever color handles they are, just be really extra with those because they hang on to a lot of dust, I noticed. You'll see it when you do walkthroughs and things. And then I also want to make sure that I don't forget the bottom part of that baseboard. If you don't get it at that point, you'll have to get it when you wash the floor, but I just figure I'm there now. Why? Might as well get it done. And then I'm not showing it very well to get inside the drawers. I'm really sorry about that. I thought that I got a different angle, but I filmed this so long ago, and I had prego brain. So I am getting inside the drawers, like all of the square like areas, you know, where things come to a corner. Make sure you are like super thorough and getting out all of that stuff. It should have been vacuumed out really good to the point where washing it out is pretty easy, but you know, the inside part of the facing you want to get, the side white part on the outside, you'll see me getting that right there. You want to make sure that you really hone in on getting all of that.
All right, and then onto the inside of the doors. I have a little note here that once the door is open, I tried to pause it as best as I could, but that little ledge where my hand is, where you don't wipe when the cabinet door is closed, that is a collector for dust, and also it's these hinges. They stick out like a sore thumb in the little tiny panels on the inside of the doors. And then this little ledge that I put a note on here, you'll see me wipe it after I'm done wiping the inside of this cupboard right there. You weren't able to get that too when the doors are closed, but you'll see a white line sticking out if you fail to get it. And then onto the doors, making sure that all of those panels, the doorknobs, everything just needs to get wiped down really thoroughly, because especially when you're working with dark cabinets or dark woodwork in general, you will see the dust so easily, especially when you're looking at it from a certain angle. You'll be able to see exactly where you wiped and didn't wipe. And then here's a close-up of the paneling that you can see. You really have to work that yellow in there, and you'll see this one too. I'm going to work it back and forth a couple of times, and then I'm also going to look at it just to make sure that I got all of it. Sometimes you might have to take a little chunk of the yellow and work it back and forth in the corners to really pull out all of the buildup in there. All right, after the woodwork, then I'm going to do the lights because I don't want to climb up there and get the counter all dirty after I've already washed the counter. So I'm going to wash the counter after I do all of that stuff, plus any, dirt you might knock down from doing this. But anyways, I do the outsides. You're going to do the metal part. And as far as like the bulbs go, they need to be wiped off too, because the guys' fingerprints get on the light bulbs and they look really dirty and nasty. So those need to be wiped. You want to check them first though to make sure that they're not super hot before you start touching them, because if you put liquid like glass cleaner on them, you are going to fry the light bulb and it might even like burst on you. So check the hotness of the light bulb first. If it's super hot, you're going to want to turn the light off and then do your best to just clean them things in the dark, girl. Sometimes also you're going to have to take the light bulbs completely out to be able to glass clean the whole inside of the light fixture. It just kind of depends on what kind of light fixture it is to begin with.
I'm starting to wonder if I'm ever going to be able to film a room start to finish without missing part of it.
The vanity, scrubbing the sink and the top of the vanity should come after this. But if you guys know how to clean a bathroom, you know how to clean a vanity. So I guess I'm not even really going to show you, but I just use...
Well, I can't show you. I can't show you because I lost it.
You take your blue scrubby with a little bit of Dawn, scrub everything. Make sure you use your toothbrush on the drain. Scoop up the slop, dry her down. You're good to go. All right, and then you're onto the toilet. A little bit of toilet cleaner. I'm dumping that icky stuff, you know, that settles at the bottom of the holder brush situation. The toilets for Newcon shouldn't have to be scrubbed very hard. Like, they probably aren't going to be super dirty. They're very much not used. So, and then you're going to go with your Clorox wipe. Remember, we do top to bottom. If you are well aware of how to clean a bathroom, then you already know this step. So I'm just kind of like, you know, you're along for the ride, and so is Arizona. You guys can hear her in the background.
Also, just a friendly reminder, remember, the Clorox wipes are not there to clean up any sort of dirt or dust or Yukon dust or anything. They're only there to kill germs. The point of using a Clorox is only that, killing germs. The white towel, terry towel right here that you're using, that is what's going to take off the water spotting, the dust, all of that. That is why we use the terry cloth. So don't spin your wheels with Clorox wiping the dust, girl. Last step. Okay. I am getting my yellow rinsed out and stuff, okay? And then the spray bottle, make sure you cover the nozzle. I say this in a lot of other videos so that you're not spraying it all over, because then you're just like wasting product. And then I just pop mine back in my caddy really quick because why not? It gets it out of the way and puts it back in the right place. Then you're going to wring it out really good so there's nothing dripping, right? And then I'm going to try to show every angle I can here, but you really want to make sure that you are scooping, because you are going to have a little bit of debris, you know, from washing inside the cupboards and all that kind of stuff. That gets shook down onto the floor. So you'll see me kind of like re-wipe certain areas. I'm just trying to like scoop it up and pull it out of the bathroom with me. And then making sure, obviously, I showed you that toilet part to get behind there really good too. And here I go behind the door. And then it's just going to go working my way out. And you will see me shake the yellow out onto the carpet a couple of times, or maybe just one time. But I'm shaking that out because I'm collecting all that debris, right? And we haven't vacuumed the carpet yet, because that's like the last step you do in a Yukon. So it's fine if you just take a little bit of that stuff and, you know, shake it out there like I'm doing, because then you don't have to get up and rinse your rag again, and you can still keep washing, because my rag was totally still fine to keep going. But you want to make sure too, that little part I got behind the door and in the corners, don't neglect those. If you do, it'll stick out like a sore thumb. And we're done. And then afterwards, I'm just going to rinse out the sink, because it needs just a little tiny, you know, swisharoo of the water. And then you're done.